Is Lukashenko sick?
A strike with Anil Sukaimars on the dam in Belgorod? Will there be a flood? Bloggers revolt against Gerasimov and Putin? Nuclear test in Russia? Lavrov versus Dmitriev. The Russian Orthodox Church urges everyone to relax at the cemetery. Hello everyone, I'm here with you, Karina Kleishun. This is the Vitrende program. I've gathered a lot of interesting news for you. Believe me, we'll have plenty to discuss together today. So let's get started. For 8 years, the dam was bombed, but this time a strike actually hit the dam in Belgorod region. According to Russian media, a HIMARS missile from the Ukrainian armed forces struck the dam of the Belgorod reservoir near the border village of Grafovka. Equipment was damaged, along with several buildings, the lifting mechanisms of one of the sluices, and the crest. They say the dam sustained serious damage and has started to let water through.
They hit it. It landed right on the dam. Another one. Hit a vehicle.
Also, according to the Russians, 1 guardsman and 1 civilian sustained shrapnel wounds. Apparently, there's no flooding yet, but if the dam bursts, the Russian army in that area will be left without supplies and unable to move along the roads. Karma for Kakhovka? Meanwhile, Putin and the chief of the Russian General Staff, Gerasimov, officially announced the encirclement by Russian troops, Pokrovsk and Kupiansk.
In the area of operations of the Western Group of Forces, the city of Kupiansk is encircled. At the same time, assault units of the 68th Motorized Rifle Division of the 6th Army, having executed a flanking maneuver, seized the enemy's crossings over the Oskol River south of the city in coordination with the 47th Motorized Rifle Division. And the 27th Bridge Rifle Brigade of the 1st Tank Army blocked the group of the armed forces of Ukraine on the left bank to the east, Kupiansk.
I would like to note that the success of Russian troops in encircling the Krasnoarmeysko-Dmitrovsk agglomeration and the city of Kupiansk, as well as the results of combat missions in other areas, were undoubtedly made possible thanks to by the heroic actions of our soldiers.
But even Z-bloggers' ears curled up from such lies.
I wonder, if you say that Gerasimov is lying about the encirclement of Krasnoarmeysk and Dimitrov, will that be considered discrediting the armed forces of the Russian Federation? Or are Gerasimov's words themselves discrediting the Russian armed forces? So encircled that there's almost 6 kilometers between the flanks. Taking logistical routes under fire control doesn't mean encirclement. For those interested, the enemy can supply their encircled garrison by air. Drones like the Yaga, various cargo drones, can keep supplying the AFU militants for another couple of months. Encirclement doesn't work the way it used to. We'll crush them eventually though. But hasty reports, for example, don't allow us to strike with cabs at our own positions, since enemy positions on the map are marked with our own pencils.
Yes, the Russians are still advancing there and suffering enormous losses. But there is no encirclement there, no matter how much one might wish for it. Putin. It's time to open your eyes to reality, Vladimir Vladimirovich. But Vladimir Vladimirovich doesn't listen anymore. He's playing his own games. As the old man himself stated, Russia conducted tests of all components of its strategic nuclear forces during exercises this week. Putin personally visited one of the command posts.
Commander-in-Chief, Joint Forces, leads self-expressive combat operations. Chief of General Staff General Gerasimov. Subtitles, Guestbook speaking. Comrade. Ether, Comrade Supreme Commander-in-Chief. Participants of the meeting, Gravudia is ready. Chief of the Main Operations Directorate, General Gravudia is ready. Citizen.
He held a meeting with the Chief of the General Staff, Valery Gerasimov, and the commanders of the groups, where I, in fact, lied about the encirclement.
We have confirmed the reliability of Russia's nuclear shield and the strategic forces, which are capable of fully ensuring the national security of the Russian Federation and the Union State. And we've already talked about this as well. It's a fact well known to everyone, to all specialists in the military world.
And of course, there had to be announcements of new weapons. Putin stated that they have also tested the Burevestnik missile, which is equipped with a nuclear power unit. Thank you. However, the first announcements of this missile actually appeared way back in 2018. The missile allegedly covered 14,000 kilometers and demonstrated the ability to bypass air defense systems. How true that is remains an open question. After all, we all remember the Oreshnik, which failed to launch. And what about you? Do you believe in this? I know that many of you are watching us from outside Ukraine. I'm curious, which country are you watching this video from? I know there are a lot of people from Europe here and even from Russia. Do you support the Russian Federation, or are you... One of the reasonable ones? Write in the comments. It will be interesting to learn about the geography of viewers and your opinions on what's happening. And now some incredible statistics from the Russian Academy of Sciences. Putin and Stalin are the best leaders of Russia. According to the Institute of Sociopolitical Research of the Russian Academy of Sciences, most Russians believe that Putin and Stalin have brought the greatest benefit to the country. 65% of respondents expressed support for Putin. And this is a record for the entire period of observation, since in 2000 only 12% of those surveyed rated him this way. After the start of the full-scale war in Ukraine and the full-scale propaganda in Russia, now the majority thinks this way. Well, and in second place is Stalin, whose popularity has also reached a historic high. Ladies and gentlemen, this is just fucked up.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine Today. Join us now.
Putin is such an incredible leader that in a once prosperous country, priests are now advising people to vacation in cemeteries instead of Turkey or the Maldives. No, this is not a joke. Priest Tkachev is actually asking parishioners to stop leaving small change in other people's pockets, to bring everything to the church and to invest in coffins.
Thank God, because times have gotten even tighter lately, and now you no longer have to support them with your own hard-earned savings anymore. The Turkish tourism business, the Maldivian, Italian, Spanish, you don't have to leave your spare change in someone else's pockets over there. You can travel around Russia, which most of us don't even know at all. Here's the very best. Of course, it's those monasteries, those churches, those tombs, cemeteries, and those holy sites, marked by the blood of new martyrs and the memory of holy people.
How aptly he pointed out that Russians only have spare change. A sort of graveyard tour, really. It's so you can start getting used to it little by little. Meanwhile, rumors have started circulating in Moscow that Lukashenko's health has noticeably deteriorated. Even at the May 9th parade, it was clear that something was wrong with him, and on that day he suddenly felt unwell from standing for a long time. The old man is clearly backing down. There isn't much confirmation of this, but we'd like to believe it. Moreover, as Russians are riding, in addition to his declining health, Lukashenko has also been noticeably distancing himself from Putin. He clearly no longer likes the idea of a union state.
Lukashenko hasn't given up hope of turning Minsk into the place where an agreement between Ukraine and Russia is signed. If and when such an agreement is ever ready, Lukashenko is doing everything he can to flirt with the Americans, and this to some extent irritates the Kremlin.
Moreover, Russian V-contact is now banned in Belarus. Does he really want to run away from Putin? What do you think? Be sure to share your thoughts in the comments. You know, I'm always here, I read everything and reply to everyone. And don't forget to like this video to support the regular release of content. I think you remember the fact that Kirill Dmitriev went to the US to talk about how they would like to continue cooperating with America. He even brazenly lied to CNN journalists, claiming that Russia supposedly did not attack a kindergarten in Kharkiv. That's not true. That Russia only targets military objectives. There are civilizational targets across Ukraine as a whole that are being targeted. Well, of course, Russia doesn't target orphanages, and the military should have been asked about this specific situation. But there are many failures, and by the way, any casualty is a huge tragedy. And that's why we want to end this conflict as soon as possible. What a brazen lie. The end, that's what they want, of course. With this trip and such statements, he clearly damaged the image of the steely Putin, who has his own truth. Earlier, I mentioned that Dmitriev himself wanted to dismiss the head of the Russian Foreign Ministry, Lavrov. Well, after this spectacle in the US, now Lavrov wants to get rid of Dmitriev. According to Russian media, Lavrov has prepared serious compromising material on Dmitriev. And he might succeed in getting Dmitriev banned from leaving Russia.
Dmitriev goes to America and tells all sorts of things there. It's very unfortunate that he's doing this. We've gathered some information on him. We'll soon pass it on to Vladimir Vladimirovich. After that, Dmitriev should end up under investigation. At the very least, he should be prevented from leaving Russia. I'm saying this directly so that Dmitriev doesn't get any bolder. Diplomacy is inappropriate in his case, said a source close to Lavrov.
Dmitriev's side, of course, is in shock, but they consider Lavrov a loser, so they supposedly think he won't succeed. Hobbidogging is reaching a new level. Bravo! Let them devour each other. And while the elite are trying to ban each other from leaving the country, a village has appeared in the Moscow region from which it is literally impossible to leave. In fact, it's just as impossible to get there. The residents of the village of Tishkovo-Spaskoye have found themselves trapped. There are two exits, but one was blocked by Rosavtodor because it was deemed dangerous and hazardous, and the other is blocked because a man has private property right on the road, a certain Anatoly S. He suggested that the residents chip in and buy the plot from him for 40 million rubles. Of course, they refused him, so he didn't think long and decided to build a house right on the road. He poured concrete and put up a fence.
All right, so this is from the road, the entrance to the settlement. It's the only entrance. There's a concrete mixer standing there. Further on, that's the entrance actually, and it's blocked. There's the fence that was put up and poured with concrete. A concrete slab.
Listen, well, you could have come and driven around the Pushkinsky district. At first, I thought it was just an entrance. Apparently, this is the situation that was covered yesterday, because this is definitely a road here. And here's the road, the exit. By the way, it doesn't look very nice. All of this was done rather sloppily. And here, probably, is the subject of discussion. Yes, that's absolutely right. This isn't artificial intelligence. This situation really exists.
Of course, the residents collected signatures and sent complaints to various levels of administration, but there was no response. Because, in fact, it's his land. You could definitely learn a thing or two about financial literacy from this man. By the way, financial literacy is now being taught to children in Russian schools. But since they live in a harsh superpower, the material is presented accordingly.
What's the main rule of financial literacy? Alone is like peeing your pants in the cold. At first, you feel warm and good, but then it gets cold. And then you have to take your pants off. Do you want to take your pants off?
But for some reason, this doesn't work in real life. Instead of buying the candy, a 10-year-old girl stole it. That's why she was forcibly detained in the store. This happened in Novosibirsk. After school, the girl was supposed to go to dance class, but she never made it there. Her parents raised the alarm, and the whole district was searching for the girl. Later, it turned out that the store employees suspected the schoolgirl of stealing candy. They took her to a back room and locked her in to wait for the police. The police. The girl didn't have a phone, she couldn't give her parents' number, and she was held there the whole time, without any way to contact anyone or any food. The police only arrived several hours later, after the story had spread across social media and group chats. Now, the girl's parents are preparing a statement about the illegal detention of their child. And finally, hobbydogging. I think by now you're all used to things like hobbyhorsing. Even Saransk has hosted such competitions. Well done. But now, forget about that. Someone has come up with something even more interesting. Hobbydogging. People take leashes and go to parks to walk their invisible dogs. And they even overcome obstacles with them on special courses. If it's not nuclear stuff, then it's this. Yes, a little faster. Very good.
Let it be.
Let it be, and here you go.